Thank you. I'd like to convene the Single Family Design Board for May 10th, 2021. May I have roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair Miller. I will now start the roll call. Chair Miller.
Here.
Vice Chair Sweeney. Absent. Board Member Kalass.
Present.
Board Member Klein.
Here.
Board Member Motisha.
Here.
And Board Member Ziegler.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Moving on to general business. Item A, public comment. Any member of the public may address the board for up to 2 minutes on any subject within its jurisdiction that is not scheduled on this agenda for a public discussion. Do we have anyone for public comment, Barbara?
Thank you, Chair Miller. If you are attending by webinar and would like to comment on an item not on today's agenda, please raise your hand by clicking the hand icon on your GoToWebinar control panel, which indicates that you wish to speak. While we wait for hands, Jillian, did we receive any written correspondence for items not on today's agenda?
We received one item of written correspondence from Will and Annie Ransom that was distributed prior to the board prior to this meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you. There are no hands raised, so Chair Miller, I will hand it back to you.
All right, thank you. Moving back to the agenda, our items of item B, approval of the minutes of Single Family Design Board for April 26, 2021. May I have a motion for approval, please?
I'll move.
I second.
All right, thank you. Let's go through the items, please. Item 1, 222 Mesa Lane. Okay, item 2 is 0 Los Tunas. Wow, a lot of notes. Yeah, item number 3, 648 Ricardo Avenue. I believe that's the last item. Hearing no changes or comments, may I have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. Item number 4, 1241 East Coda. Okay, item number 5, 1239 East Coda Street. Okay, hearing no comments or changes, may I have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair Miller and board members. I will now start the roll call. Board Member Kalass.
Yes.
Board Member Klein.
Yes.
Board Member Motisha.
Yes.
Board Member Ziegler.
Yes.
And Chair Miller.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, moving on to item C, approval of consent calendar for May 3rd. May I have a motion for approval, please?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Can we go through the items, please?
Sure. Item A was for 26 American Avenue. The action was for project design approval.
So that was the only one, we only had one item on that date?
Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry. Yes, and the reviewers were Sweeney and Klein.
All right, thank you. Going back to our outline.
We need to do a roll call vote
I'll
on
make a
that.
motion on that.
Roll call, please. May I have a roll call?
Thank you, Chair Miller and board members. I will now start the roll call vote. Board Member Klein,
Yes.
Board Member Motisha,
Yes.
Board Member Ziegler,
Yes.
Board Member Kolas,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to consent calendar for May 10th, 2021. May I have a motion for approval, please?
Yes. I'll motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Barbara, could we go through the items, please?
Yes, item A was for 135 Palisades Drive. The action was for final approval as submitted. And item B was for 574 Ricardo Avenue. The project was continued to a date certain of May 24th, 2021. The reviewers were Miller and Klein.
So as a follow-up, I lost reception. So I'm assuming it all concluded appropriately and correctly and okay.
Yes, that's correct. You did provide questions and comments, and you seconded the motion for item B. We lost you right at the very end there, but we did not need you for a quorum, so
All righty.
Uh,
Thank you.
all is well. Thank you.
May I have a roll call, please?
I will now start the roll call vote. Board Member Kolas,
Yes.
Board Member Klein,
Yes.
Board Member Motisha,
Yes.
Board Member Ziegler,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to items D, announcements, requests by applicants for continuances and withdrawals, future agenda items, and appeals. Do we have any of those items?
Thank you, Chair Miller. I do have an announcement. At our last full board meeting, I announced that the project at 347 Salida del Sol, PLN 2021-00040, was postponed to today's hearing. However, it has been postponed again, this time indefinitely at the applicant's request. I believe they're still revising their plans. However, per the Permit Streamlining Act, decision on project design approval needs to be made by August 2nd, 2021. So I do expect it to come back before too long, but I just wanted to let you know, and I don't have any other announcements. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to subcommittee reports. I don't believe we have any at this time, if that's not correct. Hearing none, we could move on to our agenda items. Okay, the first item is 1326 Hillcrest Road. This is a new item, concept review. Proposal for the demolition of a 2,670 square foot single-story, single-family residence and 681 square foot attached garage, and the construction of a 4,201 square foot single-story, single-family residence with a 453 square foot office and a 676 square foot detached garage. The project includes new landscape and hardscape, a new pool, and a new exterior barbecue area. The proposal total of 5,330 square feet of a development on a 62,291 square foot lot is estimated to be 98% of the guideline maximum FAR. No final appealable action will take place at this hearing. Project requires neighborhood preservation findings and hillside design district and slope lot findings. Do we have a representative for this project?
Thank you, Chair Miller. Let me just let them into the meeting here. Kelly Tate, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I'm assuming you're the representative for this project?
Yeah, this is Kelly Tyke.
And
Okay,
I'm Tip Coon with the Warner Group.
I'm sending you a webcam request.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
All right, if you'd like to show us your project, and as you can see, there's a time clock there for 15 minutes. So allocated, so let me know if that's enough time. If not, we can extend it if that is needed.
That best house.
I also had uploaded some renderings a few weeks ago, and I wanted to see if those were also available as well. Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Okay, so like the description said, it's for a new single-family home, approximately 5,000 or so square feet with a detached garage, and it's on a 1.81 acre lot on Hillcrest Road, right on the top of the Riviera, right on the ridge, and it's a pretty long and narrow lot, and
which is site plan.
and we could walk through, if you could go back to the drawings. And we could just start clicking through the sheets. So that's the site, there's the survey and the footprint of the existing house, and then the detached garage, and then it has a long driveway that comes up. Sorry that it's sideways, the north is to the left. So straight up would be east. So along the west side is about a 12-foot wide driveway, and then the house and the garage sit on one of the only flat spots on the site. And then on the survey there's some oak trees, and we don't plan on disturbing any of them. So those are all going to remain, but there's quite a few of them. So that's the site. It's pretty steep in the front and the back on the north and the south side.
One thing we have to widen the driveway from, is it 12 feet now?
It's 12 feet now, so we're going to widen the driveway to 14 feet
And that
for
to,
fire access.
Yeah, comply to fire access, but it's the same location coming in from Hillcrest.
Okay, and
Next sheet.
next sheet. These are some existing pictures of the current site condition with the existing house and the trees, height and the slope can be seen from these photos. On the top right is the view of what you see from the street. So the actual building location is not visible from the street. And then the picture just to the left of that one is up at where the driveway is, looking back down towards the street. Okay, the next sheet, please. So here's our proposed site plan. As you approach the street, you would enter the site, and then that's the detached garage. It's down lower. And the idea with the garage is that it's into the hillside. So above the garage would just be the grade of the site above it. So it doesn't stick, or it doesn't have any additional height to the garage from what's existing. And then if you continue further up the driveway, then you have a motor court area, and then the front door, entrance door is just to the left of the motor court. And then and then the house goes from there. There's if you go to the next sheet, we could go through the floor plan. So as your house, it's a large gray area, and then there's a bedroom wing to the east, and then to the west side is the master bedroom, and then there's a large pool courtyard in the front, south facing, and then to the I guess southwest of the pool, or the west side of the pool, is like a accessory building. And then there's this large partition wall that separates the motor court area from the rest of the main house. And then if you go to the next sheet, we could go through the different views of the site, the elevations. And actually, if you could go back to the renderings, those are a little easier to see what the project's going to look like. So that the top view is what you would see as you approach coming up the driveway. So that's looking north. So that's the south end of the pool. And the project is contemporary design. It's natural materials. We have concrete, and exposed steel, and wood, and then stone travertine for the paving material. And then the view below is another view from sort of looking towards the pool, towards the entry and the great room. And that view is also looking to the north. And if you go to the next page of renderings, and this is at the rear of the house. The top one is if you're standing at the northwest end and you're looking directly east, it's sort of a vignette shot. And then the view below that is from standing at the north, looking through the house to the south. And now we could go back to the drawings, and I could walk you through some of the other views. So these views are the views of the entry as you approach from the motor court.
If you can zoom into the upper left, the first one.
So that's looking right at the wall, partition wall. Then you have the accessory building attached to the side of that on the left, and then to the right of that is the pool and the pool courtyard. And then the next image, if you want to pan over to the right, that's as you approach, as you park into the motor court. So the entry would be right behind us, and then that's looking south towards Santa Barbara. And then if you want to go down, there's the entrance.
Looking north
Looking north.
at the front door.
And then there's looking, if you're standing, if you're looking east, standing on the west, looking towards the front door. And then this is a view coming up the driveway. So you have the accessory building to the right, and then you can see the master bedroom, window to the master bedroom beyond. And then that's overall view of the site, the motor court area.
And you can see the master bedroom on the upper left, the house right above it. And then the accessory building to the right-hand side.
Okay, and then next sheet. And then this sheet shows the views from the interior courtyard, pool courtyard area. So that's looking right towards the entry from the other side of that partition wall. And we're showing a metal screen that screens that courtyard area from the motor court. So you could sort of see the car parked in that motor court behind it. And then that opens up to the great room space and pool courtyard. And then there is the view looking back towards northwest, looking towards the house. And you could go through these a little quicker if you'd like. And then this is from the south looking to the north, right on top of the pool. And it's a very similar view. And then this is with the house to your back looking south over the pool. And then there's a overall aerial view of the house. That's a shot from the outdoor seating area, and it opens to the kitchen on the right. So there'll be an inside-outside bar area. There's another view of the south elevation of the house. And that's that same view that we had the rendering of in the rear of the house, the northwest side of the house, looking east. And then that's the other view that we did the rendering of, looking northeast from the pool courtyard area. And then this view is from the north side, a little bit down the slope, looking back up towards the house. And so that's the master bedroom, mostly the master bedroom side that you see in this view. And then that's looking southeast. So that's the master bedroom massing that's in the center of the image there. And then there's some more views. This is a courtyard area on the east side, a little private courtyard. That's the same courtyard looking east. And then that's the view from the north looking south. It's a similar view, slightly tilted, looking more southwest. And then now this is a view from the east looking west at the rear of the house. And that's a similar view, just a little higher perspective. And then here's the elevations. It's a pretty low profile house. The max height is 16 feet, 4 inches from the to the top of the roof structure in the great room. And then the rest of the house is a much lower profile. The idea was to keep it as sort of a low profile house along the top of the ridge there. So the top elevation is the east elevation, which is the sort of private courtyard area. The bottom one is the south elevation, what you would see as you approach. And then the next sheet has the west and the north. So the top one is the west elevation, even though it's labeled east. That's the motor court area. And then the north elevation down below is what is facing the backyard. And that's it. I think that's the last sheet.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Barbara, did we get any public comment?
Thank you, Chair Miller. If you are attending by webinar and would like to comment on this item, please raise your hand by clicking the hand icon on your GoToWebinar control panel. While we wait for hands, Jillian, did we receive any written correspondence for this item?
We did not receive any written correspondence for this item. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no hands raised. So Chair Miller, I will hand it back to you for questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Board Member Colas, do you have any questions, please?
I do. I have several questions. The first question I have is, I don't know if this would be captured on your title sheet. I'm assuming it might be. I'd like to understand the square footage in more depth of this project, because you're coming in with a 98%, I think, FAR, which is very high compared to what we're typically used to seeing here. So what I'd like to understand is how much of that square footage is habitable versus how much is outdoor covered areas versus how much. Can you articulate that for me a little bit? Can you break it down a little bit more for me, please?
Yeah, so the main house is 4,201 square feet.
Does
And
that
then there's
include outdoor covered areas or only habitable?
That's only the habitable spaces.
Okay.
Interior walls. I mean, measured to the interior of the exterior walls.
Okay.
And then there's a accessory building that's at the end of the concrete partition wall. And that accessory building's 453 square feet. And then there's the detached garage, which is, I guess, semi-subterranean. Then that's further down the slope, which is 676 square feet. So the total net square footage is 5,330.
Okay. Do you have a calculation of what the outdoor covered areas amount to in terms of square footage?
I don't have that calculation, no. I could provide that at the next hearing.
Okay. That was my first question. Can you please tell me what the material is of the existing driveway and whether that is to remain and be, I mean, I understand you're widening the driveway. Are you planning to match the existing material? Or are you planning to replace the existing material on the driveway? Could you explain a little bit to us about that, please?
Yeah, the existing material is asphalt. And so we'd like to change that to some sort of permeable paver material that would be acceptable to the Tier 3 requirements. And in the actual motor court area, we're planning on doing, conceptually right now, we show concrete pads with landscape in between.
Right.
A landscape right in between.
That was apparent in the renderings. Okay, thank you. Could you please speak to the roofing type that you're planning to use? I know in a lot of cases, you know, traditionally homes like this would have had a rock roof. I don't know what your guys' plan is for the roofing material.
Most of the house is a flat roof over the bedroom areas. So that'll be probably a single ply membrane. And then there's a raised, the popped up roof area over the great room. The idea for that is it's really to do a really low pitch so that when you observe the building from eye level, you won't see any of the slope, but that would be probably some sort of metal roof standing seam. And then Yeah, I don't think we have it. And then over the garage would just be the soil, the slope of the terrain, the topography and landscape over that.
Okay. Have you done any grading calculations yet for the project? You're talking about retaining the garage, talking about moving some dirt for the driveway. I'm assuming there would be a significant amount of soil removed potentially for the pool.
We haven't done any grading calculations yet, but yeah, there would be definitely some export for, especially for the garage. And the pool is semi-raised, so there wouldn't be too much export regarding the pool, but definitely for the garage, there would be some export, and as well as widening the driveway.
Okay. And I'm assuming since you haven't done that, you don't know what tier you are for stormwater management yet either.
We are tier 3 for the initial feedback letter that we got from the city.
Okay. Has there been any pruning or trimming done of the existing oaks on the parcel prior to this submittal?
They were trimmed up by the owner. They were really overgrown. So he trimmed up some of them on the east side.
Was that done in conjunction with an arborist?
No, it was not. But we are bringing an arborist on board for the direction of the city.
Okay. And then could you speak a little bit more? In one of the renderings, you showed the pool deck. We're kind of looking with our backs to the south, looking at the pool. And yes, similar to this, but in the, I guess on the site plan where you're showing the canopy of the trees, and it shows the sitting area off of what you're calling the outdoor bar. If we could go back to that, I think it's the site plan. Yeah, it was the grayscale site plan. It wasn't the rendering. Yeah, here. Okay, I don't have any question about this. I just wanted to see that again. I'll save my comment for comments. Those are the only questions that I had at this time. Thank you.
All right. Board Member Klein, do you have any questions, please?
Just one question. I know it's preliminary, but have you looked into what you're going to do as far as management for stormwater as catchment and treatment?
Yeah, there'll be a few BMP areas that we'll have to provide. And then the rest of the paving, we plan for it to be permeable, with really the only hard impervious surfaces to be the area at that pool courtyard.
So you don't know what BMPs yet. It's pretty early on, correct?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to be required yet. We don't have the civil engineer signed up yet to do that tier 3.
Great. Those are all my questions.
All right, thank you. I think I'm up next if we go alphabetical. Do you have any aerial photos of the surrounding properties and the closest neighbors near you?
I don't have any in the submittal package, but there's a neighbor to, actually there's 2 on the north and then 1 to the west and then another to the east.
And we talked to the neighbors and they all familiar with the project that we are proposing.
Do you have any pictures of the adjacent homes?
No, we don't have it right now.
Those are orders, I think they are ranch style, if I remember correctly, but we can provide that.
Okay,
And might be around the 80s or 70s, nothing of in particular of interest, in my opinion.
okay,
And yeah, both sites are pretty large. So, you know, you can see that our project right in the middle and same as the other two. And they have heavy vegetation on the left, on the right,
Yeah.
and make it completely secluded. And when you stand in the middle of the site, you literally cannot see to the left, you cannot see to the right. All you can see to the mountain views to the north and then to the ocean view to the south.
well, it's kind of puzzling to me why your FAR is so high. Just visually looking at your house, I would think the FAR would be so much smaller. So that's kind of, I think that's what Board Member Colossus was kind of alluding
Yeah.
to. It seems kind of odd that your FAR is so high when it appears your property is so large. Is there a,
Large. Yeah, it's a very large site, as you know, it's 1.5 acres, right?
1.81.
1.81 acres and almost 2 acres. And I know the city has standard, but when you look at the standard and the size of the house, 5,000 square foot home on almost, you know, a 62,000 square foot lot, it's less than 10%. And that's why, you know, it looks small, but in terms of standard, it seems like it's big.
okay, no, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a big site.
Those are my only questions at this time. So we'll move on to Board Member Motisha. Do you have any questions?
Yes, could we, here's floor plans very, no, let's go to the site plan, proposed site plan. Could you bring that back up? Is the lot, the total lot sloping to the south? Is that the highest point on the lot is this northwest corner down in the lower, right on this lower level? Is that the highest point in the lot? Because I can't, from your site, so small, I can't tell, I can't see any dimensions.
The house sits right on the ridge, so it drops off to the north and then it drops off to the south.
Okay,
And
so
the reason, yeah.
those sloping lines to the left, which would be to the north, are going downhill.
Correct.
Okay, that's better. Now I understand it a little better. On your original, on your existing site plan right now, you have something, we could bring that up, your existing, yeah. What is that right there, right in the middle, up halfway up the lot on the east side? There's some dark lines right there on the east property line. Keep on going right there. What is that?
That's just a small retaining wall that really serves no purpose.
What's at the south? What's at the west end of that?
Some steps.
Oh, that's steps. Okay, steps. Very good. I just can't see it. Okay, let's. Another thing I'd like to go there. That's better. Okay, now I see. Let's go to the floor plan, the proposed floor plan, your new floor plan. Yes. Could we blow that area up right around the laundry, the kitchen? Yeah. No, that's the east, kind of southeast laundry, kitchen area, half bath, that interior area right there. And you also have some steps that go, are those steps going up or down on the outside, on the south side of bedroom number 2, I think? You got steps right there on the outside.
Those are exterior, and we were thinking of putting mechanical equipment underneath that bedroom there.
Oh, so you have a basement down there underneath that second
Probably
story.
for pool equipment and mechanical
Oh,
room.
it's too small to read. I couldn't figure out what the steps went to. Could we, same blow up, could we move it up a little bit so I can see that? No, not, yeah, that's better. Not too much, not too much. So we're looking at kitchen. Do we have a?
Looks like there's a motorcycle in the kitchen.
The owner has like an antique motorcycle he wanted in the living room.
That's the kitchen right there where the cursor is.
Correct. Yeah, that's the kitchen.
To the east of the great room.
Yep.
Okay, now I know what the other room to the right of there is. That's an indoor out, that's a bar, I guess. That's outside or inside?
That's
That's-
outside.
That is outside. Then there is I see where the sliding doors are. They close off that from
Yeah.
east to west. Okay, now I see. That's outside. Okay. Powder room back there, laundry, pantry, laundry. Okay. Okay, now I'm still studying everything. Everybody else is asking good questions. I don't need to ask questions about FARs. Brian, I think you covered that pretty good. East, up behind dining room, floor plan. The whole building is on slab, correct? Except for
Yes.
underneath the bedroom number 2.
Right.
Right, okay. All right, that's all my questions. Thank you. Yeah, they were very good renderings. Gave us a good picture of what the house looked like. Oh, wait, I'll save that for comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Ziegler, do you have any questions, please?
I guess I have a couple. Can you tell me the approximate age of the owners?
I believe he's in his 50s.
They are, okay. The reason I'm asking is I'd also like to know the distance from the garage to the front door, and the difference in altitude between the garage and the front door.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hike.
Yeah, it's funny, I built a house 10 years ago. I'm a little older than that, but age is very important when you get older. And I don't know what the grade is there, but that's something they should consider about walking from that garage to the house.
Actually, yes, we did raise that issue to the owner initially, and he mentioned that he just want a garage far away to store the cars. He doesn't want to see the garage at all. And so he asked us to design a garage that completely underground from above so it can be seen. And then he said that he just have a small car. He could pull up to the motor court, and that's how he used the site.
Okay, it may be questionable decision, but there's a pretty
Yeah.
big elevation difference between the house and the garage, isn't there?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he actually a little bit overweight, so he needs to work out, so that probably will help him.
Okay, well, that may be good for him then, okay.
Okay, is that your question?
Yeah, that's my questions.
All right, I'm going to bring it back to the board for comments. We'll start with Board Member Koloss.
Can I ask a quick question following up
course.
on that last question?
Did I skip you?
No, I just wanted to elaborate on that question. What is the circulation from the garage to the house? Is it just the driveway?
No, we'll have you can see at the west end of the garage, there's some stairs that come up, and there'll be a path
Go to
that
the
comes.
site plan.
Yeah, if you go to the previous sheet to the site plan.
Oh, we didn't show it.
So the idea is there'd be a path, the little walking path that comes up to the stairs at the west edge of the pool, and then that goes up to the entry from that direction.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Board Member Koloss, do you have any comments, please?
I have a question for staff before I make my comments. Is that possible, Brian?
Of course.
So the question that I have for staff is, because this is in Hillside and because we have a detached garage, if the owner were to come back and propose an ADU on top of that garage, would that be subject to the review of this board?
I believe at this time, only a special ADU is allowed in the high fire hazard area. I don't think it would come to this board. If it was on top of the garage, no.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I guess my first comment is wow, like wow, right? Beautiful house. I see amazing stuff going on here. There's plenty of modernist homes in this portion of the Riviera and Mission Canyon that I think the general genre of the home could be considered compatible. And I have no misgivings that this will be executed beautifully. My concern is that there's a lot of house here. There's a lot of house for even this large of a lot, given how much usable pad you have. And you're really maxing it out. I mean, this is maxed out, as you can see, right up against your setback lines. And you know, the general sort of feel of the neighborhood is a little bit more bucolic and is a little bit more, for lack of a better way of putting it, humble in many respects. You don't see a house of this nature or this size very frequently in the neighborhood. So, and I express that concern, especially given that the FAR that we're looking at is not taking into consideration all of the outdoor circulation, of which there is a lot here. And based on the renderings, it all appears to be impermeable. It all appears to be concrete or board form concrete. So you're really significantly changing the geology of the site. So perhaps that's a preamble to the comments to come. I would like to see an arborist involved in the project as soon as possible and before this project returns to full board, which I'm assuming it will do. I would like to see them address the trimming that's already been done to the trees, because I observed some very large limbs that had been trimmed. I'd like to see them address any disturbance that will be adjacent to drip lines, because it appears that drip lines are actually hanging over some of the proposed exterior seating areas and patio slabs. And also to have them address the footings that would be related to that. I would like to see grading calculations. I would like the applicants to consider minimizing the outdoor circulation areas in order to reduce the footprint of the home and bring it closer in line with guideline FARs of somewhere around 85%, if at all possible. I would encourage a bespoke or original approach to the roofing over the central area on the home. This is an expensive home. I think you guys can probably come up with an amazing solution to the roofing materials over that central area rather than just defaulting to sort of a standard metal seam roof. The paving that is used on the driveway, in my opinion, should be compatible with the sandstone walls that are down at Hillcrest Road, and those sandstone walls should remain. And I would like to see the site plans reflect the footprints of the adjacent residences so we can have a better understanding of relationship in terms of proximity of those homes to this one. I think the home that is to the south, I'll call it, or the southeast of this home, the one that's at the corner of Hillcrest and I don't know if that's Mission Ridge there. I believe that's probably in relative close proximity to this. That's it. I think it's a beautiful project, but I would encourage you to consider the sensitivity to site as you move forward and develop this to a greater degree. Those are my comments.
All right, thank you very much. Board Member Klein, do you have any comments, please?
Yes, I like how the garage works within the topography of the site and is essentially hidden. As far as landscape comments, this is high fire. So when you do a landscape plan, I'd like to see all of that done properly. As far as the stormwater catchment and treatment, if there's any way to do it naturalistically, that would be great to fit with the site. And also seeing the circulation from the garage to the home, I think that that is an opportunity for a nice pathway through the landscape. And I also agree that an arborist should be on board to provide tree protection measures through construction. Thanks.
All right, thank you. I'm up next. I pretty much gonna follow up what Board Member Kalas said. I'd like to see, like I said, it's a stunning home, but I'm kind of blind in terms of its neighborhood compatibility or how it relates to the neighborhood. So I'm going to kind of play off what Board Member Kalas said, and that I'd like to see a reduction of the FAR. But otherwise, it's one of these type of homes. I think as it matures into the landscape, it's one of those that's going to kind of disappear as the foliage matures. But I also agree with Board Member Kalas in that it should be a little smaller. So I think those are basically my comments. So moving on to Board Member Motisha, do you have any comments, please?
Yes, I agree. I like the project. I think you did a good presentation of your renderings that gave us a good view of, good overall picture of what the house is going to look like when it's finished, if it is indeed constructed and finished that way. I think because the lot is so narrow that I'm not going to look at it as taking over the lot, because you got a lot that's just straight north south, and that if all that property was put on the north and or east and west sides, that house would not be too big for the property or too overbearing to the property. It's obvious he doesn't want to spend his life tinkering with his cars, which is, Jonathan, that's okay. And yeah, I like the project. I would, again, I agree with Mr. Miller and Ms. Kalas that we should see the properties on the east and west sides and include them in the next presentation, so we see what their relationship is to our project. Yeah, that's all my comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Board Member Zigo, do you have any comments, please?
No, just to say that I liked his Robert Indiana sculpture. And I'm wondering how many other large size sculptures he has like that he has to fit into this particular home.
Well, apparently there's a motorbike in the dining room.
That's right. So I forgot about that.
I didn't see that.
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, with that being said.
Can you say one more comment?
Sure.
This is I keep looking at the project we looked at 2 weeks ago, which was a modern house on top of a hill.
Yeah.
And I commented at the time that I thought they were trying to hide it for no reason at all. And I like what is happening here. This house, as modern as that house, but this house is more of a statement. And I like what the statement says here rather than the one we looked at a couple weeks ago. Yes, thank you.
Mr. Motisha, just as a point of reference, the FAR on that particular project on Las Tunas was 63%, as opposed to 98% on this, and they were roughly the same size parcels.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you. With that being said, would someone like to entertain a motion? They're here for comments only. They kind of want to get a good idea of what we're looking at. So I could recommend.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion that the project return to the full board with the following comments. That the applicants retain at the earliest possible time an arborist to consult and speak to the trimming of the oaks that has already occurred, as well as to address any disturbance that will occur in or around the drip line of the oak trees. That the applicants provide complete grading calculations and at least a conceptual stormwater management plan as part of their next review. That the applicants consider reducing the size of the home and or outdoor circulatory areas to bring it closer to an 85% FAR guideline. That we encourage an original approach to the roof of the central area of the home. That paving materials for the driveway be consistent or compatible with native sandstone. That the native sandstone walls that exist on Hillcrest Road remain at the entrance of the driveway. That the applicant provide footprints of the adjacent surrounding structures, immediately surrounding structures on their site plans when they return to the board. And Katie, I'm trying to make sure I capture anything of yours. That's my motion. And then if there's anybody who would like to add comments, feel free.
Okay, let me get a second, and if there's, can I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, open to discussion. Is Katie, is the motion approvable for you?
Yes, it was fine.
All right, thank you.
Comments?
Okay, we had a second, so may I have a roll call, please?
You don't hear me.
Thank you, Chair Miller. And the board members, I will now start the roll call vote. Board Member Kalas,
Yes.
Chairman,
Board Member
it-
Klein,
Hold on.
Yes.
I apologize. Some, Mr. Tisch, did you want to say something?
no, I said something. Is it too late to make a comment, to address your concerns?
Uh,
If it's
Yes,
too late, that's fine.
please resume the roll call. Sorry.
Board Member Klein,
Yes.
Board Member Motisha,
Yes.
Board Member Ziegler,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Now, if you're welcome to make a comment now if you'd like to, if you know.
Yeah, so I was about to say that the house is designed for family with 3 children. And that's why we have 3 bedrooms. And we have 1 large room in the middle, and we listen to your comment and we'll bring the house a little smaller, but we like to maintain the number of bedrooms. So I was hoping that I can cut back perhaps 5% or as much I can and save the outdoor spaces. And hopefully that will make the project more appealable to the board.
I have no concern. You're a very good designer. I think it'll be great. We look forward to your new design.
Revise.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you.
fine. You're welcome. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 2, 524 West Valerio Street. This is a continued item. Project design approval is requested. It's a proposal for an addition of a new 452 square foot second level master suite and a new 64 square foot second level deck to an existing single story residence. The project also includes a 42 square foot stairway addition to the ground floor. The proposed total of 1,326 square feet of development on a 4,554 square foot lot, is estimated to be 57% of the guideline maximum FAR. Again, project design approval is requested. Project requires neighborhood preservation findings. The project was last heard February 1st, 2021. Well, Mr. Diganci, did I pronounce it right?
Close, yeah, DeGansey.
Diganci.
Very close. Much better than what I've heard.
Thank you. So we have
Great.
minutes from the last board. So if I could have Mr. Motisha, your face came up. Would you like to read what was past minutes from our previous meeting? He got away. He ran away. Miss Colas, could you please?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, there
I'm
you
here.
are. Okay.
You Minister, you keep muting me, and I don't mute myself. I get muted. Okay, the motion was passed last time in February, I guess it was, and continued indefinitely to the full board with comments. One, the board is generally supportive of the project and appears to meet neighborhood compatibility guidelines. The project will require another full board review before project design approval. Consider the privacy issue related to the deck on the second floor and the detailing on the handrail. Consider the appropriateness of triple windows on the second floor south and east elevations. Consider providing 2 double hung windows on the east elevation flanking the bed, or the windows on top would be awning or copper windows. The board prefers wood windows to clad windows over the existing vinyl windows. Applicant shall consider the size of the relationship of the window above the door on the west elevation as it relates to outside corner of residence. Provide a solar diagram indicating compliance with solar ordinance. Consider changing fencing from chain link fencing material to at the front of the property to material that is more consistent with the craftsman bungalow nature of the home. The board urges the applicant to meet with Public Works regarding whether there are requirements for the improvements to the parkway, curbs, and gutters on the street side. Action was taken by Ms. Kloss and Mr. Sweeney, and it was passed 6-0.
Thank you
Motion
very much.
carried.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Diganci, just to make things easier, if you can kind of just go down each one of those minutes. and
Absolutely.
it makes it easier, so you don't have to.
Perfect. That works for me.
All right,
That
thank
works for me.
Great.
Okay, great. All right. Again, yeah, thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time today. As discussed, I'm presenting the second floor addition to the 524 West Valeria residence for project design approval. Due to the limited scope of the project and the studies we've done, I'd also like to be asked to be placed on the consent agenda for final approval. So looking through all of your comments, which we, again, thank you for, I will go through down the list. Number one, just noting that the board was supportive of the project, so I think that's excellent. Number two, the first comment regarding the privacy issue of the deck on the second floor and detailing. Again, thank you for the comments. Could you please go to page 6 on sheet A10? And so this will show we've studied the proposed location for the deck. It's a small 64 square foot deck and how it relates to the neighboring properties. Looking at the site, you can see the property lines and how that's been divided. The structure directly to the left, the 528 West Valeria residence, it's a smaller lot. And the structure closest to the deck is actually a single car garage with no windows to the east side and the north side. You can actually see on this, we've indicated the location where there are windows on the windows and doors, sorry. And so there's actually not a direct view from that deck into any of the windows and doors onto the neighboring property. And so that from a privacy standpoint, we thought that was a good spot to put that rather than shifting it farther to the south where you could start to infringe upon those other windows lower on the property line. In addition to the lack of windows facing that face, there's also, you can see in the plan, in the property 1706 San Pasquale, the other neighbor, there's a large tree in that corner, which also helps minimize visibility from the owner's deck to the backyards and vice versa from those yards into that roof deck area. Also, additionally, you might have to jump back to page 2 just real quickly to refresh everyone's mind. On the vicinity map, the freeway and train track is actually directly to the northeast side of the property. And so based on proximity to the freeway and noise, we have located that deck as it is on that side of the house opposite to the freeway and the train tracks. So if you can hop back to page 6. Also, additionally, in terms of just the location, we also looked, you can actually stay zoomed out. In addition to the location, we looked at the detailing of the rail. We've updated that railing now to mimic the same style of the existing railing that's the house. So in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a simulated version of how the railing would look. It would be vertical wood stanchions with a wood handrail. And if you want to jump to page 3, sheet A007, you can see the same existing railing on the top left. So we're just looking to match the existing of the home, so it's all conforming with each other with itself. Cool. Moving on to the next comment, the comment regarding the appropriateness of triple windows on the second floor, and also looking at east window with the addition of potential double hung windows. If you could please turn to page 13 of the PDF, sheet A302. Excellent. If you want to zoom into the bottom left-hand side, we can talk about the south elevation first. We ran a handful of design studies that I believe we also put in a separate PDF of exhibits to study the relationship of how those second floor windows look and feel relative to the area of the existing, or to just the wall area of the proposed addition. And what we're showing here is what we found to be the most appropriate in terms of scale. The window on the left-hand side was previously larger. We reduced that because the wall area wasn't as proportionate. And then the window on the right-hand side, N24, we made larger. And so larger glazing on the area of a larger, more open face wall. And we felt that more appropriately felt balanced and gave the elevation a bit more a cleaner, tighter look. And regarding the east elevation, if you want to zoom out, I believe it's, yes, the middle one. Yep, number 3. Previous comments were to study the addition of a double hung window on either side of that triple window, the N06 window. And we looked at that in elevation. We added the windows. We tried another scheme without the triple window to see how it felt. From a use and from a privacy standpoint, we found that adding the double hung windows impeded upon the privacy of the neighbors and of the owners of this house. Because unlike the other side where there's a garage where there's not much visibility, but this side actually faces the house to where you have multiple windows on that neighbor's yard to where you can see in. And so we thought adding those double hung windows hurt the amount of privacy both homes would share. And also additionally, as mentioned with the deck location, that wall is the wall that faces the freeway and the train tracks. And so keeping that in mind, trying to, with the Santa Barbara Municipal Code design standards for air quality and then also noise pollution, we're just trying to minimize the amount of windows, opening windows, and also just fixed windows on that side in general. Comment number 4 was noting the board prefers wood windows or clad windows over the existing vinyl windows on the ground floor. Again, we definitely appreciate the comments. The existing windows themselves were outside of the owner's ability when they came to own the house. It's not something that they were able to control of, and just based on budget and trying to minimize scope and keep everything at a cost that works for the owner, we're going to keep those existing windows as is. Item number 5 is the applicant should consider the size and relationship of the window above the door in the west elevation. If you could please zoom out, I believe it's on the bottom right-hand side. Oh, I'm sorry, yep, top, there we go. We've heard the board's comments and we've made updates. Previously, that window was a little farther to the left Now we've designed it to one where it's centered on the stair inside, but then it also has enough room from a structural standpoint to where it can have, a triple 2x4, 2x6 stud inside that wall cavity, which I believe was the previous concern on just the realistic proximity to that edge. And so now we've updated that to address that issue. Item number 6 is asking to provide a solar diagram indicating compliance with the solar ordinance. If you could please zoom out on the same sheet on the elevation number 3 and number 2, since this is almost at a 45-degree, we looked at it in both northerly property lines, indicating the math showing from that 18-foot point and going up at a 30-degree solar compliance angle. We're within that solar limitation. Chimneys are accepted, and I've cited the associated Santa Barbara Municipal Code section for 30.140.170.3a. And you can also see on the other elevation, we've also indicated that, but also just because it's much farther from that side, it's much less in the proximity of the existing house. Okay. And then comment number 7 is to consider changing the fencing, the existing chain link in the front of the house. Again, we appreciate the comment, being that we're only really focusing the scope tightly to the second floor addition. We're not changing any of the hardscaping or landscaping. We are going to leave that as is, once again, just to keep the project in budget to where the owner's, able to make the necessary additions to the second floor. And then the final comment, number 8, the board asked the applicant meet with Public Works regarding the requirements for the improvements to the parkway. This portion of the street, actually the entire couple blocks has an area where it's the asphalt street to a dirt area and then the sidewalk. I reached out to Public Works to try and get a comment. I was unable to get confirmation. Again, similar to the chain link fence, this is also, we have a very small scope on this project, trying to keep it on path, budget and timeline wise. So we are not intending to make any updates to the right of the parkway, curbs and gutters in this zone, just as we're only focusing on the second story addition and necessary updates. That is the comments that were addressed. So again, thank you for your time.
Great, thank you very much. Barbara, did we get any public comment?
Thank you, Chair Miller. If you are attending by webinar and would like to comment on this item, please raise your hand by clicking the hand icon on your GoToWebinar control panel. While we wait for hands, Jillian, did we receive any written correspondence for this item?
We did not receive any written correspondence for this item. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And there are no hands raised, so I'll hand it back to you, Chair Miller, for questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving it back to the board for questions. Board Member Kalas, do you have any questions, please?
Yes, just a few. I think the front elevation of the project looks nice. Thank you for studying that. I also appreciate the compatible approach in terms of the guardrail for the upstairs balcony and you addressing the privacy issue related to the neighbor. The questions that I have are, can we see a floor plan, the second floor plan, please? Okay. That's all I needed to see. I just wanted to make sure that we were getting what we needed in terms of egressable conditions up there. It obviously is out onto the roof deck. If we could go back to the exterior elevations, please. Those look like the existing. So could we look at the elevation that is at the top of the sheet, please? Am I remembering correctly, or we look at a lot of projects, Mr. DeGancy, so
Understandable.
excuse me if I'm thinking of another project, but for some reason I thought that there used to be a door below what is noted window N09 here.
Yes, there used to be, we were thinking we could use the space underneath the stair as exterior storage, but they already have the garage, and also there's an extra step up. So we actually put that space to an additional closet inside the bedroom. So if you did want to go to page 9, we're using that kind of odd underneath stair space as a semi height closet. It'd just be a storage area.
Okay, so previously, did that stair used to exit out? Oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, the stair was always that direction. We just relocated the door to where it's access inside for an interior closet versus an exterior storage.
Okay. Great. Okay, so that addresses that question that I had. If we could go back to that same elevation, please. Are the windows that you are, or the slider that you're representing here, is that indicative of the nature of the slider that you're planning to propose for the project?
In terms of stylistically, no, right now it's kind of representing a general glass slider. I think based on the divided light nature of the other windows, it would probably be a similar manufactured product where the same suite or family matches the existing.
Okay. And are the windows, perhaps you addressed this already, but the new windows that are part of the project, are those proposed to be wood or vinyl? I understand the existing ones will remain as vinyl.
Correct. Yeah, the existing would remain. With the new windows, we would be looking to do a wood.
Okay. And do you have a landscape plan, Mr. DeGancy?
We have a site plan that shows us the existing conditions on page 8, but we're not making any updates to that as right now.
Okay. Those were my only questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Board Member Klein, do you have any questions, please?
No questions.
All right, thank you. And at this point, real quick, the front porch is existing, right?
Correct. Yeah, page 3 has an image of that existing condition.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. All right, that's my only question. Move on to Board Member Motisha. Do you have any questions, please?
No questions at this. No questions at all. No. Very good.
Thank you. Board Member Ziegler, any questions, please?
No questions. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, going back to the board for comments. Board Member Kalas, do you have any comments, please?
My only comment is that I would like to see the sliders that are at the deck be representative and compatible with the other windows that are being proposed. And that if the neighbors could possibly find it in their heart to maybe plant some sort of vine or hedging material up against the chain link fence at the front of the residence in order to screen the chain link, that would be lovely. Those are my only comments.
Right, thank you. Board Member Klein, do you have any comments, please?
No comments, just I'm in support of this project.
Thank you. Yes, I'm up next. I would say I love I think the addition is very sensitive to the existing architecture. I think you're very successful in making it not look like an addition. I think it'll be great to have the house upgraded and updated or revamped or refreshed. So I can definitely support this project. Those are my only comments. Board Member Motisha, do you have any comments, please?
Only that I support the project. Yes.
All right, thank you. Board Member Ziegler, do you have any comments, please?
I agree with the other folks here who are supporting the project.
All right, great. That being said, the client is requesting to be, for final, to be at consent. So if someone would like to entertain a motion, that would be great.
I'll entertain a motion.
All right,
I would make a motion that we bring this give this project,
design
Consent.
approval.
consent and bring it back to, the consent calendar, or give it approval, but not final approval, and bring it back to the consent calendar for final approval.
Okay,
We appreciate the changes and that we have asked for, and yes, thank you.
and you have
That's
to
my-
just, you have to read through all these things here.
Oh, yes. Neighborhood preservation findings. One, it's consistency and appearance with the neighborhood. It's compatible, it is compatible with the neighborhood, has quality in architecture and good neighbor guidelines. And consistency in appearance, compatibility, quality of material and architecture. And I think there is some more.
Yeah, that's one of three. There should be a 2 of 3. There you go.
And trees, we're not disturbing any trees, but I think the trees that are there are nice. Health and safety welfare is considered, good neighbor guidelines, I think I said that, and public views does not interrupt any public views.
All right, thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. All right, may I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you. May I have roll call, please?
I'd like to add an item.
Oh, I'm
to
sorry.
the
Sure.
motion, please.
Yes,
I'd like to just make sure that the compatibility of the sliders on the upper deck match the proposed wood windows for the project.
does the maker of the motion agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair Miller and board members. I will now start the roll call vote. Board Member Colas,
Yes?
Board Member Klein,
Yes.
Board Member Motusha,
Yes.
Board Member Ziegler,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
Yes.
Thank you, motion.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome. There's a 10-day appeal process. Okay, moving on to item 3, 1402 Grand Avenue. This is a continued item. Project design approval and final approval is requested. Proposal to construct a 229 square foot addition to a first story and a 273 square foot addition to a second story of an existing 2,232 square foot 2-story residence. The project also includes a demolition of an as-built approximate 350 square foot deck and construction of a new approximate 410 square foot second story balcony on it in its place, along with site and landscaping improvements, including a new spa and pool. The project will abate violations in enforcement case 2016-00296, a lot line adjustment between 1402 Grand Avenue and 860 Amino Road, approved by the staff hearing officer on June 3rd, 2009, and recorded August 16th, 2011. Required the construction of a carport at 1402 Grand Avenue, SRO Resolution 046-09, on August 27, 2018. A substantial conformance determination was approved by the Community Development Director to allow the garage to be constructed instead of a carport. On March 10th, 2021, a second SSCD was approved by the Community Development Director to allow the garage to be constructed on a permit separate from the work proposed on the primary residence. This project must be reviewed and approved by the SFDB in tandem with PLN 2020-00044 for the garage in compliance with the SCD approved March 10th, 2021. Project design approval and final approval are requested. Neighborhood preservation findings and hillside design district and slope lot findings are required. The project was last heard on November 9th, 2020. Barbara, did you have anything you needed to say?
Yes, we're just a little bit early. We're ahead of our schedule on the agenda, so we do need to wait another 5 minutes before we can start this project. The earliest we can start is 4:30.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say all that again.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
we need a 5-minute recess. Thank you.
Let's reconvene at 4:30. Thank you. board? Okay, moving on to item number 3. 1402 Grand Avenue. This is a continued item. Project design approval and final approval. A substantial conformance determination was approved by the Community Development Director to allow a garage to be constructed instead of a carport. On March 10th, 2021, a second
Sorry, Chair Miller, that was the second slide. If you could start with the first slide, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Proposal to construct a 229 square foot addition to the first story and a 273 square foot addition to the second story of an existing 2,232 square foot two-story residence. The project also includes the demolition of an as-built approximate 350 square foot deck and construction of a new approximate 410 square foot second story balcony in its place, along with site and landscaping improvements, including a new pool and spa. The project will abate violations in enforcement case ENF 2016-00296, a lot line adjustment between 1402 Grand Avenue and 860 Hemino Road, approved by the staff hearing officer on June 3rd, 2009, and recorded August 16th, 2011. Required the construction of a carport at 1402 Grand Avenue, Reso 04609. On August 27th, 2018, a substantial conformance determination, SCD, was approved by the Community Development Director to allow a garage to be constructed instead of a carport. On March 10th, 2021, a second SCD was approved by the Community Development Director to allow the garage to be constructed on a permit separate from the work proposed on the primary residence. The project must be reviewed and approved by SFDB in tandem with PLN 2020-00044 for the garage in compliance with the SCD approved March 10th, 2021. Project design approval and final approval are requested. Neighborhood preservation findings in the Hillside Design District and slope block findings are required. This project was last heard on November 9th, 2020. Welcome, Mr. Mills. Oh, Mr. Motisha, can you please go over the motion from our last meeting? If you can unmute yourself, that'd be great.
There I am. Continue, the motion was continue indefinitely with comments. The change in the scope of work and the scaling back of the remodel and new entry is appreciated. The kitchen remodel and the scale of the proposal is appropriate. The use of space between the guest house and the existing home with the proposed pool is appropriate for the area. The board looks forward to seeing more details at the next meeting. Motion was by James, and it was seconded by Farrell, and it was voted 6-0. Motion carried. Yes.
I have a question from city staff. Ms. Burkhardt? Seeing that the motion was passed by board members who are no longer here, does that require any extensions, or can we proceed?
As long as our new board members have watched the video of the last meeting and reviewed the old plans and old minutes, they would be able to comment and vote on this item. We'll just need confirmation that I think board members Colas and Klein, we both reviewed the video from the last hearing and as well as the minutes and the plans.
Yes, I'll confirm I have.
Okay.
I did not, Ms. Burkhart. I still
Okay.
cannot view anybody else. I did not. I looked at item 4 and it did not give me a reference date down in the bold area on the minutes or on the agenda where I typically look for the last action.
We're looking at item.
I'll have to sit this out. I know we're looking at item 3, but item 4 and both the same address. Anyhow, I did not, so I'll have to sit it out.
Okay, I do believe we have two professionals, so we can proceed, right?
We do still have a quorum.
Okay, great. Mr. Mills, would you please go over the consent or items that we spoke of and anything else that we need to know?
Yes, all right. Thank you, Chair Miller. Okay, so I wanted to do a quick overview. Last time seemed like a pretty positive review. As was shown in the minutes, generally there was a lot of support. I do want to cover, there's some revisions to the lower level that I'd like to take you through. So in addition to that, the other stuff we've been up to since we last saw you last November was lots of civil, lots of stormwater management drawings to get through, engineering team, like we have all that complete. It's all currently in our set. And then of course, coordinating with the garage project. So we're finally ready to go. Yes, this is a fairly unconventional process with the two applications, but it's been a lot of work, but I think we're really close. So we look forward to getting positive results. So let's jump to, let's go to the site. So well, G011, how about we start there? That's site photos, just for context, for the people who've seen it before. You should remember that. And then for new members, kind of gives you an idea of the site. I won't get into any further detail, but fairly steep site, existing house for the most part. And we're just really looking at a couple additions to the upper and lower levels. So now let's go to AS102, which is the proposed site plan. And then let's zoom in. There we go, zoom in to that middle section. Again, get even a little closer, just to the red dash box. Yeah, this maybe one more time for the zoom. Kind of gives context for new folks as well. So the gray box towards the bottom is our existing residence. So the slightly darker hatches are really the three areas of our addition. So on the left, you see just this little pop out of about 16 square feet there. And then on the north, plan north, is the new upper addition of the kitchen room, sort of one volume for the kitchen. And then this is actually what's a little different this time. So on the right side, or that's the east side, is we've actually expanded it and revised that lower elevation a little bit only, just on the lower floor. So that's really the area of scope, and we're totaling about 470 square feet of addition. So now let's go to AS301 is the next sheet. You can zoom in just again for context, showing the house on the very left, the house above, the house below, and then here's our site, and then the garage for context is just to the left of us as that dashed box. But this scope is basically the same. You can see the kitchen is on the upper level, and then on the right, that other box is that double-decker deck that we're now proposing. So let's jump to A102. I'll take you through the floor plans really quick. We'll circle back to landscape at the end. Our landscape architect, Rob Madej, is making his way if he can. So this is existing and demo lower level, just to show you the context. So really most of the form is there, the deck we're replacing, and then plan north is where we'll do most of our expanding. So let's go A103, next sheet. Again, upper, so you can see the bottom left corner of the plan, that's an existing entry patio. That's what we'll be replacing with the kitchen program. Otherwise, working with the shell of the existing building more or less. So then let's go to A106 and we'll go to the proposed plans. Thank you. So here's the new proposed lower. So starting at the bottom, you can see, maybe zoom in one more time. So that we have this long kind of galley bath along the west elevation. So the vanity pop out. So things were getting you can see that thick wall between the bath and the master is structural. It's an old CMU block wall. So we lost a couple inches through our development. So what we did just to make that successful is pop out that double vanity, and you'll see that in elevation as well. So I just made that entry point more comfortable. And then the shower bath, I think, is working well in the toilet room. And then moving plan north of here, so this is the area. So we've actually pushed out this east elevation. It's plan north here. The bedroom 2 that you see and that new bath pushed out about 6.5 feet from the previous round. So this was a bigger move. But all of this took so much work. At the end of the day, the owner's like, after the dust settles, we want to make sure these rooms were worth all the effort. So that's really what drove these changes. So now you can see bedroom 2 is, I think, 14 by 16. I can't quite read that, but a nice comfortable suite with a 14 by 15. There you go. So a good sized room for their boys. Laundry gets fit in the hall, and then a double vanity again for the kids in this. So we kind of felt like that made it a lot more livable for their family for the next decade or so. So that's the lower level plan. Now let's go next to A107. So the upper level really has not changed, but just for context, on the left is our new kitchen. And it's really just as it was before. So big views to the pool. And then French doors out to the patio. Living space is just getting renovated inside, material finishes. And then the new deck on the right facing south. And then because we expanded below, we captured that with deck. So you can see here, so in plan north, we have a bit more deck to play with, created a really nice dining room. And to break up the rail, you can see it's a little different. So along plan north, it's a parapet wall that returns in line with the house, and then a separate cable rail balcony engages separately. Again, we'll show you an elevation. A108 is just the roof plan, and then you can peek at that. Yep, pretty straightforward. It's basically what it looked like before. Then A201, we'll go through elevations. Just to point out those 2 changes. So just for context, the lowest elevation is the existing demo. The middle render, we scroll up. The middle one is the rendered views we saw last time, just for context. And then the top one is our current working drawings. So the middle and the top one really match, but it's just a little more detail, a little tighter. So that's the front elevation. No changes to this from last time. So let's go to A202, next elevation sheet. So this is the elevation that changed a little bit. Yep. So, and actually let's go down the middle, the rendering as well. So the main differences here were really the left and right sides remain the same. You see that kind of the taller portion is the kitchen beyond on the right, and then the bedroom, the stairs wind down. The deck, double-decker deck on the left is what you saw before. So it's really this middle element that has been revised. We actually like this a lot better. There was 4 separate pieces. We got it down to kind of 3 balanced forms instead. So we have this lower, you can see here's that parapet wall, the lower wall with a couple punched openings. And the other difference is the material change at the banding at the bottom of this. Previously was like the wood siding screen wall. Now we're going to a stone base as well, because we're kind of more grounded than before. And then if you just scroll up, the Revit elevation reflects those changes as well. Let's go to A203, and I'll be happy to go back to any of these. There's just a lot to cover. So likewise, this is our south elevation, which I think the board found favorable last time. No changes to this. We're just showing it because you can see. Now zoom in on the top right one. What you can see on the right is that parapet wall beyond, right? So we get this double-decker porch, returns on both sides, east and west, and that terminates in that wall. And then also shows you on the left, there's that little pop out climbing up the hillside on the left. So just wanted to kind of indicate those changes, but this elevation otherwise remains the same. So A204, next sheet. And lastly, this is our west elevation. Again, same as before, with the exception of that little pop out on that lower level, so which you can see in both elevations. Let's go to A301. If you want to building sections, just for reference, pretty straightforward. Let's go to A302. In large sections, the one on the right is describing our double-decker new deck. It's just a significant piece. You can see how the new roof eave covers the entire thing. It goes all the way down to crawl space. The middle column, those two enlarged sections are along the kitchen wall and entry, just showing how the new roof engages the old roof, the eaves, that top middle one. And then the top left is just our typical eave section. It's matching all that's there. Let's go now to, let's jump to A601. Door and window, typical door and window details. It was a tough decision, but we're, per the owner's request, we're trying to work with as much of that existing building. Most of it we're keeping. So we actually have, the vinyl windows towards the outside face. If we did it all new, we would be setting it in, but I think we talked about this last time. We're just matching all of that. So that's reflected here. And then let's go to A602. It's also reflected in our typical door and windows. So we're inclined to match what's there. So we're on the outside face. I think it's going to work with this kind of contemporary house and palette. A701 is, let's start at the bottom right. Just kind of wanted to quickly show you, these are some of the material transitions that were important to us. So here's our typical rail. You see kind of our black metal rail, wood top. The screen wall wraps up and over the curb. So that's how we're making that transition back to the solid deck. Let's scroll up. Give you an idea of all the other pieces or anything. And then that's the railing at the upper level where it just sits on the deck, and fascia and introduction of square gutters. And then let's go kind of up and left. Let's kind of move around. Typical screen details, how we're choosing to cap our rain screen walls. Let's keep moving down. I'm just going to try to do this briefly. And then we're showing kind of corner sections, how we treat when the rain screen meets the corner. We'll alternate the boards. Let's keep moving down. That was 7. Likewise, we have a stone, that's at our lowest level, stone veneer base. Number 5 is how we detail material transitions in an inboard corner. And then what else? And then just some typical wall to hardscape, typical eave and gutter. So let's see. We can come back if we have any details. What's the top left? Anything else? No, pretty straightforward. The parapet wall and parapet cap. So then let's go to A702. Almost done. Is our material palette. So zoom in a tiny bit, starting at the bottom. This kind of gives some reference images and specs. So the bottom is an example of how we detailed the rail. So the black metal, the cable wire, and the wood handrail. Next image up just shows our kind of proposed wood screen detail and color, more or less. And then the next 2 images above that are our sample or our stain specs. So we have this exterior siding color, and then the top is a very dark stain, almost like a charcoaly, but it still has more browns in it. For all the posts, fascia, kind of like the post and beams of the project get that dark color. Here's an example of our sandstone walls, site walls, and base. We want it to be natural sandstone but have a slightly more contemporary cut to it. 5 is our paint swatch. I can't remember the color now. There is natural ground. So this was a question that came up last time. The board, I think, was a little split on it. We last time were a bit more sandier tan colored, a little closer to the existing residence. Half the board liked it, half the board wanted to go white. What we actually did was we looked at brightening the value just a little bit, so it's a little lighter and a little more neutral than before. We think that's going to work better with the white window systems. It was less of a contrast than the darker tan. So I think it still feels natural and it'll still fit in the hillside, but feels a little better with the palette. So okay, moving on, let's zoom. What else do we have here? So typical, then below is just kind of the flagstone pattern that'll go throughout hardscape. Our light specs are the Vegas, like we have 2, like a typical cylinder wall sconce. And then at the bottom, you can see at our entry, we have some hanging sconces to match of the entry sequence. And then our flat roof will be redone, and we have that PVC spec. This is what we tend to be using on most projects. You know, California code's driving us to light roofs, but so we try to pick the darkest gray possible, so that cool gray is the darkest roof we can accommodate, just to not create any glare. Okay, so that is it for architecture. I would love a landscape to do a walkthrough. 2 things. I don't know, do we have Mr. Madej? Was he able to log in? And or does the board feel like they need to see landscape again? It's really the same as you saw last time, and it was completed and there was no comments on it. So 2 questions. Do you have comments? And do we have Rob?
So board member Klein is our landscape architect, so it's kind of her call, I would say.
I mean, I'm happy to walk through the general siting of it. I would just be afraid to get into too much detail without Mr. Madej.
I think the plans are very complete. All the information is there, and I was able to read them clearly, and I really don't have many questions, or any really. So I think we're okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'll bring it to Barbara. Ms. Burkhart, do we have any public comment?
Thank you, Chair Miller. If you are attending by webinar and would like to comment on this item, please follow the directions on screen and raise your hand. Raise the hand icon and you go to the webinar control panel. While we wait for hands, Julian, did we receive any written correspondence for this item?
We did not receive any written correspondence for this item. Thank you.
All right, thank you. There are no hands raised at this time, so I will hand it back to you, Chair Miller, for questions. Thank you.
All right, I'll bring it back to the board for questions. Board member Klein, even though you've made those comments, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, Ryan, could you just walk me through, I know that I wasn't here, but just as far as the existing trees and new trees, as far as the oaks, were there any removals of an oak?
Let's see. Yeah, I believe there was one. So in this plan, is there a tree removal plan? Mehdi might help me here. So let's go back to, that plan was, I think, a good place to be. The previous slide. Is it the middle?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, around the house, you saw in the site photos, the site is so steep, there wasn't, but like kind of in that patio pinned between the house and the pool, there was on the hillside. Now, and it was growing out of a boulder. I don't know if it's in the photos. I understood it wasn't very healthy or doing well. So that is the one that is being proposed to be removed.
Great. Okay, that's my only question.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Wills, from the previous minutes, did you go through them? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Well, I don't have them. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Barbara, can you post the minutes? Let's see.
It was, well, I think 1, 2, 3 were comments.
They were just,
I
okay,
think-
that's great. Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually my only question. So we'll move on. Board Member Motisha, do you have any questions?
Cannot talk. Oh, there I am. Okay, now
What?
I don't have control of my audio. No, I don't have any questions. I think we've seen this a lot. Yes, and our last comments were basically just agreements with him. No comment, no questions.
All right, thank you. Board Member Ziegler, any questions? Jonathan, are you muted?
I think you're
I don't know
muted.
if you're muted or not. Let's just see.
Yeah, no,
There you
you're
are.
not. Do you have any
I'm not
questions?
muted, am I?
No.
Okay, no questions.
All right. Bring it back to the board for comments. Board Member Klein, any comments, please?
Yeah, I think that the design fits well into the slope, taking in consideration the neighbors. I think the planting plan is really well done, took in consideration all of the fire, low water. You know, of course, it's always sad to see an oak go, but there are plenty on the site, and you're adding 60-inch box olives, which are quite large and expensive. So I think that canopy makes up for it. And those are all my comments.
All right, very good. You basically addressed all our minutes, and I have no comment at this time. I support the project. Board Member Motisha, do you have any comments, please?
Well, where I am, I sure would like to have control of my own audio. If I may want to make a comment. I cannot because I am being muted out.
Uh-oh.
No comments. Thank you.
Okay, Board Member Ziegler, do you have any comments, please?
No comments, thank you.
All right, they're here for final design approval. Would someone like to entertain a motion? Barbara, do you have anything to say?
Chair Miller, can I interrupt?
Of course, it's a
we do have a bit
confusing,
of an issue with the next project, and these two projects need to be heard and approved in tandem. So,
Okay.
if you feel this project is ready for project design approval and final approval, you can state that in your motion, but we do need to continue both projects, either to full board or you could decide to send them on consent. Because we won't have a quorum for the second item. The way I agendized it, I thought it was a new project, and it's not. Therefore, board members Colossus and Klein would not have known to watch the earlier video and review the minutes and plans. So we can hear the next item, but we can't vote and make a decision on it. So both projects would need to be continued in compliance with the substantial conformance determination.
I
Hopefully that
read,
makes,
I read both of these already, right?
you read the project description for this project. So,
Mr. Mills, could you please clarify? Yeah, I kind of.
Yeah, I mean, so why we have to be seen and approved together. We basically, the main house can't grow without a garage, right? So standalone, we aren't a valid project because we're not proposing a garage. So basically we can only exist if a garage is also constructed. And in this case, you know, it's a long story, but the garage is it's a separate application. So we need both to move forward. So I was going to suggest for us in this case, if we might be, can we, it's a question, can we be given final approval conditioned on the garage getting an approval as well, just so we don't have to schedule another meeting? I don't know if that's a possibility.
Well, it sounds like from what Ms. Burkhout said is there's a procedural issue because item number 3, Katie was not notified to preview the project. Is that correct?
Correct.
Burke?
Both board members Klein and Kolas would not have known that the garage was already heard by the SFDB because I did not include that on the agenda. It's my mistake. I apologize.
So can we give project design approval for item number 2 and then move item number 3 to consent? Is that possible or not? Or I don't understand what to do here.
And item number,
They will both need to be continued. If you're comfortable with it, you could continue them to consent. You don't need to come back to the full board, but that's up to you.
Yeah, if that's our best case, I mean, that's tough. We're all geared up to get into the building department. But yes, if that's required, I think that feels like the best. Could that be in 2 weeks? Could we get on that next?
We could even bring it back next week.
Okay.
And you can all hear the project that follows this, the garage portion of this site. So we can hear both of them today. You just won't be able to vote. Yeah.
Okay.
Approve them
All right.
until.
So not even on ours, there will be no vote?
So I think what you need to do now is talk about the garage, or here's the thing. If you talk, the motion could be made, but after he talks about the garage. Is that right, Ms. Burkhart?
Hang on one second. I'm trying to figure this out live here.
Yeah, if it's just next week consent, I mean, that's. If,
Mr. Chair,
Yes. Hi, Irma.
Mr. Chair and board members, I believe that it is appropriate to go ahead and hear this project, make your comment, continue this project to consent for next week, make your comments, that it's ready for project design approval and final approval. And then for the following project, go ahead and hear it. You won't be able to take an action on that. Just continue that to the final. So they'll both be heard next week together, but there'll already be direction from the board that this item number 3 is ready for project design and final approval.
Okay.
Does
but
that
it's-
make sense?
Yes.
Chair Miller and staff, I know I'm not weighing in on this, but perhaps it would be beneficial when it's agendized for the consent calendar if the 2 items were transposed so that the garage precedes this one when it's reviewed on consent. Seems like it might make things a little bit easier in terms of actually being able to make final motions.
Okay, so don't have a good handle on this myself. So Mr. Ryan needs to still go through item number 3 right now. Is that correct?
we just
It's,
did.
It's at your discretion, Mr. Chair. If you would like to just postpone the item 4 to come back to the consent calendar and be the first time that it's heard there. But I think it would be helpful to get comments from the full board for the garage project.
Okay, Mr. Ryan, did you go through the garage yet? Have you shown the garage yet?
no, that's item 4, and the Rochelle will be presenting that part of it. So
Okay, so-
if you want to make the presenter.
Well, wait a minute. We have to make a motion with item 3 first, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, can someone entertain a motion for item 3, please? Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, since no one spoke up, I will attempt to make a motion. I would like to make a give project design approval for item number 3. With the following comments, the board appreciates the style and design of the house and that they've the detailing that he's shown is appropriate and consistent with what we've approved. Is there anything else I need to say?
Chair Miller, I believe the motion should be to continue it to consent next week and say that it is ready for project design approval and final approval if you believe that it's.
So I move to make this project to return for consent for design approval and final approval. That's my motion. You have a second?
I'll second.
it.
I think Katie beat you.
Okay.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Don't think we can give it final approval without the other one with it. You're asking.
Hold on, Joe.
Okay, go ahead.
Barbara?
Project design approval and final approval will be granted at the same time on consent next Monday.
Do I need roll call for item 3?
No.
Ms.
Cannot give it.
Burkhart? Oh, Lord love it.
Yes, you need a roll call, please.
Let's get a roll call.
Thank you, Chair Miller and board members, and I'll start the roll call vote. Board Member Klein,
Yes.
Board Member Motisha,
Oh, of course. I don't know what we're doing, but
Board Member Ziegler,
Yes.
and Chair Miller.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to item number 4, 1402 Grand Avenue, project design approval and final approval is requested. Proposal to construct a new 646 square foot detached 2-car garage, a lot line adjustment between 1402 Grand Avenue and 860 Camino Road, approved by the staff hearing officer on June 3rd. I read this before, but I'll read it again, 2009, and recorded again August 16, 2011. Required the construction of a carport at 1402 Grand Avenue, Reso 046-09. In August 27th, 2018, a substantial conformance determination was approved by the Community Development Director to allow a garage to be constructed instead of a carport. On March 10th, 2021, a second SCD was approved by the Community Development Director to allow the garage to be constructed on a permit separate from the work proposed on the primary residence. This project must be reviewed and approved by the SFDB in tandem with PLN 2017-0826 for the primary residence in compliance with SCD. Whatever. So if the client is here, can we show the garage? Okay, you guys, this is really confusing. Okay. Mr. Motisha, can you go through the motions from our last meeting?
the motions were, the design of the garage is consistent with the city's scenic character. The project will require a Tier 3 stormwater management plan and will address concerns regarding the creek. It was, motion was taken by Farrell, seconded by me, 4-0. Motion carried.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, could you show us through the project?
No, hello?
Okay, there's someone else.
Chair Miller, yes, this project has a different applicant. Rochelle Mayland is here. She does not have video, but we will be able to hear her. So
Okay.
Rochelle, you can go ahead and present your project.
Okay, so you guys can hear me then?
You're a little weak.
Oh, okay, well, let me try. I'll do a little bit better. Is that better?
Not really.
Oh, okay, well, then I guess
Oh, that's better.
Okay,
There you-
all right. Okay,
Perfect.
well, All right, good. Well, a little history on this is that, I did a lot of work on the property for the previous owner, and the property was sold in 2016. I did the work on the original lot line adjustment and then part of the requirements for the garage at that time. And so a garage, I did go through design review, and I designed a detached garage, and that was approved in 2014. Of course, that wasn't built because the ordinances as far as requirements changed immediately after that, and so it was one of those gray area things that was required at the time, but the ordinance changed. Anyway, the property was sold in 2016 to Joe and Bonnie Kearns, which are the current owners. And they originally designed a large addition or remodel or add garage and such. Then that was next. That's why this is a little confusing. Is the current owner came back to me and said, Rochelle, do you remember that garage that you got permitted and approved before? Could you do that again? And so I did. I applied and we received conceptual and preliminary approval. And I was told back in February of last year, 2020, to come back with my tier 3 for final approval. And so that's where that was left. So the garage was approved and everything at that time, although it had a Spanish flavor to it. And in the interim, when I got the civil engineers on board, the client decided that he wanted to go ahead and at least do a bit of a remodel in the main house. And so my project, the garage, was put on hold at that time. So if that helps fill in some of the blanks for you. So obviously it made sense for the civil engineer to not just do my garage and the tier 3 storm waste management, but to do all of the work that was going to be required for this pool and small addition that the owner decided to go ahead and go with. All right, so those things, the garage has stayed the same as far as the footprint goes. But since they are doing a facelift and changing the exterior of the existing structure, I went ahead and Ryan and his crew, obviously shared their elevations and design input with me. And so I put a different dress on the garage. Instead of having a little bit of a Spanish flavor, which is what it was before, I went ahead and replicated many of the details and elements that they have on the main house. So the size of the garage is the same. And so you'll see all of that information. That we have our tier storm waste management on C1 and C2. So we do have that. Of course, we have the FARs on sheet A1. And you'll see that the garage is, the 686 feet. We have it narrow when it's a little longer because of our restrictions from setbacks and the downhill slope there. If you go ahead and take a look at sheet A2, you will see the elevations. And what was approved before is we always had a stone wainscot on the bottom. Before, we just had a random stone that matched a lot of the stone walls on the site. And DHMA has a ashlar pattern on the bottom of part of the house that they added. So, and this is for contrast and style, so that the pattern of stone on the wainscot of the garage changed from a random Santa Barbara stone to an ashlar pattern. Okay, but the stone versus stucco is still the same. The stucco color before was a light cream color, so it is not that different than the color that is now in the main house now. So obviously having that stucco color on both it's very close to what was previously approved. So there's not a major change with that color. Okay, now what I did do is, of course, the fascia we have, and there's a color, if there's a color board on page A4, I went ahead and specified a paint color that matches the deep stain color that DHMA has on some of their features on the house. And then the beam, the large beam that sticks out at the ridge of the garage will also be stained in order to match some of the stained elements that they have on the house. The other thing that is a change is that I lowered the slope, the pitch of the roof. So instead of, you'll see on the elevations on A2, you'll see that the current house or the current garage, detached garage, is now, 15 inches shorter than what was previously approved back in 2020. And also what was approved in 2014, because this has had several approvals as I went through that history with you. What you'll see is that we have a gate area to the right. We had to add a little bit of a landing off to the right. And we added that larger landing in order for there to be a trash area for obviously trash holding. And there are the wooden gates with the horizontal slats to them in order to replicate some of the wooden siding on the new house. And so that way it will screen the trash cans that are behind it. Also, the garage door that I selected, and you'll see part of that on page A4. The garage door also has the wood, horizontal wood details. I also showed this to Ryan, and he thought it was a great selection that complemented the design elements of the main house. So we've really, even though there's two different designers working on these projects, we've tried to work together and get design elements so they really mesh well with each other. So that's the garage door that we have there. And I suppose that's really, the landscaping that's around there is we're just keeping the existing landscaping. There's already a screening hedge between the other property, Mr. Cahill's, to the east on the small area that the properties abut. And there's fruit trees to the north that abut the Yobs at 860 Jimeno. So all that existing landscaping would stay in place, and we would just be excavating for the garage itself. Any of the front area, which you'll see on DHMA's landscape process, to the immediately when you're facing the garage, as you approach the garage from the driveway, there's the landscape area that is on DHMA's plan that abuts the garage area or shortly thereafter. The cable handrail is the same detailing as on the main house, and you will see that also on page A4. And I believe that really kind of covers it. We have the windows, since this is a different, separate structure. We also chose the anodized bronze window on the garage. So that way it replicates the darker features and design elements and accents of the house as well. So that's what we have here. Basically, just the person is the same, but we've just simply put a different dress on her. If you'll look at it from that aspect. And I suppose that's, if you have any questions for me, please ask. You also see that we do have our structural engineering on here and the detailing on it. Otherwise, the house and the garage are detailed very closely to each other.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Burkhart, do we have any public comment?
Thank you, Chair Miller. If you are attending by webinar and would like to comment on this item, please raise your hand by clicking the hand icon on your GoToWebinar control panel, which indicates that you wish to speak. While we wait for hands, Jillian, did we receive any written comment for this item?
We did not receive any written correspondence for this item. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have one hand raised. William Cahill, I'm going to call on you. Let's see, I'm going to unmute you. You have 2 minutes to speak whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Yes. My wife, Linda, has given her time to me, so I'm would appreciate it if the 4 minutes was acknowledged instead of the 2, if that's approved. Objection number 1 is that this project materials submitted for approval.
What happened?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Let me start again. This project materials submitted for approval indicate that this structure will have a TPO thermoplastics, so for roof, This is inappropriate for most residents, as this is a more typical for a big box commercial structure and warehouse. In hillside areas like this community, the roof is often most visible architectural material for neighbors and should be treated as the quote unquote fifth elevation and not detract from the natural beauty that the residents of this community treasure. The objection goes well beyond the aesthetics, because TPO roofs are a major safety issue because, like other single ply roofing materials, TPO roofs are made from solvents and combustible materials. They are very flammable, and in the event of a fire, the membrane will burn until fully consumed. And a high fire hazard area is reckless to propose this material on a building with a shop and storage, possibly containing chemicals, with a minimum setback of minimum setbacks for 2 adjacent properties. Mitigation request: provide non-combustible roof materials whose aesthetics are compatible with the neighborhood, and either eliminate the shop storage area in the back of the garage, or relocate the proposed structure to another location on the site that provides increased setbacks for fire safety. Objection 2, possible second ADU. There is a toilet and sink in this proposed shop area, which can easily be converted to a ADU, which would be illegal since there is already a guest house on the subject property. This might be used as a short-term rental like an Airbnb. In addition to the plumbing and fixtures, there are faux windows shown in elevation, but framing and window details suggest intention of future modification to make this a residential unit. Mitigation requests: remove the plumbing and the shop storage area from the project to prevent future illegal conversion to a dwelling unit. Objection 3, inadequate, uncoordinated project documentation that falls short of the standard of care to ensure public safety. This document submitted demonstrates a level of carelessness that does not adequately portray the existing or proposed conditions. Some examples include: A, incorrect property line demarcation between Jimeno and Grand Avenue properties that, upon correction, would push the proposed structure over the steep grade that would result in a retaining wall at the southeast corner greater than the maximum allowed by the structural drawings. This in turn may result in a structure that exceeds the maximum building height allowed. There will be a natural tendency for erosion in this area since the setback area is in a natural water course during rain events and potentially exacerbate mudslide conditions. B, inadequate and or misleading dimensions and section cuts that do not give an accurate picture of the more problematic structure and site conditions. Uncoordinated representations of fundamental building systems. For example, the architectural drawings have details for a roof attachment to metal deck over open web steel joints, while the structure is wood framing. There are no plumbing plants. Where is the supply coming from, and does the waste go? C, numerous references to architect review and approval, although there is no licensed architects associated with this design. It is illegal to claim I'm just about done, almost done.
Okay.
To practice, thank you, to practice architecture in the state of California without a license. Mitigation requests: resubmit complete project documentation with accurate property lines, fully dimensioned plans, and coordinated building systems prepared by an architect that is licensed in the state of California. And thank you.
All right, thank you. I immediately want to correct you on that you do not need to be licensed in the state of California to design a residential unit. I can tell you that right off the bat.
No,
anyway.
I understand that, Mr. Chair. What the reference here is that there's numerous references in the submittal to architect approved.
Thank you. Okay, so,
That's all.
All right, thank you.
Can I still speak?
Who is this?
Oh, this is Rochelle.
No, I'm sorry, your time is up. I think he used up your time, so I
I
apologize.
didn't- I
Yeah.
was supposed to respond.
Your time is used up. Thank you. So we can bring it back to the board for questions. So I'm going to go down the list. Board Member Klein, do you have any questions, please?
No questions.
All right, thank you. Do I have any questions? So I do have questions regarding the comments that the last person commented about the garage. Can I see a close-up of the floor plan of the garage, please? Okay. All right, those answered my questions. I'll move it on. Board Member Motisha, do you have any questions, please?
Yes. If I remember right, I may be sticking my nose where it doesn't belong. Wasn't there a fire access to the back of this property off the cul-de-sac to the north?
Yes.
And is that shown on your plan, Rochelle? Is that shown on your plan?
It's on, well, it's not labeled. It's on the cover sheet. And we've had the fire department already review that. It's actually, let me get under here. 801. Okay. It is through the 860 Jimeno driveway, the property at 860 Jimeno. The fire department comes down their driveway and comes to that access point between the two properties.
So I am looking at looks like a gate right there that is still operable. I'm just asking that question for my
Yeah,
own.
it's a hand gate. And in fact, we had the fire department out there with Jim Austin to do their testing a couple of weeks ago. And the hand gate between the 860 Jimeno and the 1402 Grand Avenue is just that. It's never locked. So with a flip latch, it can be completely opened. And access for firemen to go.
That answers my question. Thank you. That's the only question I have. We have seen this
All right.
numerous times, and I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Board Member Ziegler, do you have any questions?
I didn't see any plumbing in the garage, so I'm wondering, is that relevant or not?
Well, there was a half bath.
There was?
Yeah.
Okay. Should that be taken out?
Well, if it's to code, then it's not our purview to tell them to take it out. That's
Okay.
the building department will have to deal
Okay.
with. See the half bath there in the corner?
Oh, yeah, okay, thank you.
So they comply. Everything complies to code. So
Okay, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. I do have one more question. The roofing material that was brought up. Could you clarify what the roofing material is?
Yeah, it's a TPO and it is fire retardant. It is approved for high fire areas. And the color that we have for it is a very soft rock. In fact, it's called rock brown. So it's a very soft color that will blend in with all the natural wood and dirt and earth and stone on site. And that was really kind of our goal, was for it to blend in more with the actual site. Since you look, especially the 860 Jimeno property, it looks down upon the garage. Not so much Mr. Cahill's, small amount, but that was our goal, was to have it blend in to the site.
Do you have a chip sample of it somewhere? Or
I do have a sample of it. It's, there's a color sheet on A4. I don't know that. Yeah, there we go. And it's the first color on the left. And when you get it, I actually have a real live sample. It's less gray than that. It's a little more brown and it's a little bit lighter.
Can I see the picture below? Can we enlarge this so I can just kind of see? I know that's a factory picture, but I just want to see what that is.
Yeah, the photo on the right is very close to, is actually the rock brown, and that's closer to what the real color is.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Moving on to comments. Board Member Klein, do you have any comments, please?
No comments.
Chair Miller,
Yes.
board members Colas and Klein can both ask questions, but they are not able to comment.
Okay.
As it,
Very good.
yeah.
Board Member Kloss, do you have any questions, please, or comments?
Sorry, I've had myself muted. No, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Or comments? We're at comments now.
You cannot comment, Chair Miller. I'm sorry. Board members
said that.
Colas and Klein are not able to comment, unfortunately. Thank you.
Only ask questions. Okay.
Correct.
I'm not confused. All right, now we're going to comments. So I believe I've lost my train of thought. Mr. Kate Klein, you had no comments. Is that correct?
She cannot.
Oh,
She cannot make comments.
Mr. Motisha, do you have any comments, please?
I don't have any comments. No, I don't have any comments.
Board Member Ziegler, do you have any comments?
I
please?
didn't have any comments, so I have to think this is very funny, but that's it.
Yeah, I have a comment. Your chair is very confused. Okay. With that being said, would someone like to entertain a motion?
You cannot make, I'm sorry, I'll keep my mouth shut.
So you have to make a motion to take it to consent. Is that correct?
Correct. Very similar to the last item. We can just postpone this item, basically. Well, yeah, continue this item or on consent.
So I make a motion to continue this item to be postponed and continued on consent.
I second it.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair Miller and board members. I will now start the roll call. Board Member Colas.
She abstains.
Okay.
Am I don't believe to weigh in on this.
So Board Member Klein will abstain as well then.
Yes.
And then Board Member Motisha.
If I can say yes, we're allowed. We don't have a forum.
Board Member Ziegler.
I'll say yes, and if I have to say it twice so we have a quorum, I will.
And Board Chair Miller.
Yes. Ms. Burkhart, could you please come back for a second? I got a concern here.
Thought I saw that look of a question mark in your face, Chairman Miller.
We don't have a quorum, I believe.
Board members Colas and Klein contribute to the quorum, but they are not able to comment or vote. So we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you.
Very strange, I know. Thank you.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I believe that. Yes. What?
I'm confused also.
All right.
You're always confused, Joe.
All right, with that being said, I thank you for your time and efforts. I say that the Single Family Design Board for May 10th is complete. Thank you.